Okay, hello, everybody. I know weird timing, but alas, this is what we have. So, hello, hi, Mary. Super duper early, yes. Hello, Dolores. I'm doing okay, Shannon. I tell you what, the tick of the talk is not very happy with me, apparently. So my notifications aren't really getting out there. My views aren't getting out there either. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about this ring. What? And as a side note, what do we think about this ring? Is it okay here with my nails? Or I have this heart ring, which is another one of my favorites. So which one should I wear? Which one? It's, my ring, you got notified. Okay, thanks. I'm so glad. I'm glad that worked. It seems like it's not working constantly. Love the blue. Okay. Blue it is then. The big one. All right. We'll get the big one. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The person I usually have to double check my ring wardrobe is busy doing something else. So, we're doing okay. We are doing all right. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, good. It helps me so much when you tell me if you've gotten the notice. That is extremely helpful. So, excuse me. Thank you. Yes, Dolores. Oh, I know. These are from the Wicked line from Kiss. All right, so I had some green ones. I actually still have 3 more sets. I just love that particular theme of nails. So I'm really enjoying them. And honestly, I can get about, I'm getting about a week, 10 days out of one set. And because I love it so much, I'm okay with that. Well, I can't do 10 days. That's crazy talk, but I can do almost a week. Oh my gosh. Almost. Looks like a lot. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Justice is coming. Hello, Nikki. Thank you. Ron. Oh, love to hear it. That's right, Toodle. The sommelier. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, good. It goes with the jacket. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Notification. Great. So, with that, let's dive in. I'm not sure how much... I'm going to try to keep it kind of short, everyone, so I can rest my voice. I really want to be able to hop on the tube tonight, so I'm hoping that will work out. Fingers crossed. If not, we'll just keep trying. Hello, El Jenny. Hello. Attacking the ignorance. That's right. Hello. So, excuse me. I've started a series talking about prepping this case. So this is a tariffs case, my friends, and it is headed to the Supreme Court. It's going to have arguments November 5th in front of the Supreme Court. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting if I take you through what you prep, really, or what I would prep to go into oral arguments. So just starting from scratch, starting from zero knowledge, which you don't ever want to do if you're arguing in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. But, sometimes things happen. Now, I have not argued in front of SCOTUS myself. I have been up to my Court of Appeals, though, for my circuit. I have also been in my state's Supreme Court, but I have not gone in front of SCOTUS, and I'm okay with that. But I thought, let's just walk through kind of like how we would getting ready to go to SCOTUS, because this is a really big, important case. Well, right. Kathy, I think a lot of people feel that way also, and I can see why you would. So I think that's okay. I have a different take on it, but I don't think it's invalid that you are frustrated and worried about it. I think that's absolutely valid, and the Supreme Court did that. So we will just have to see, which, we don't do a lot of wait and see anymore, and keep our fingers crossed, right? Impeachment papers, I wish. Ugh. No, not this time. Never brings them back into session. That would be a direct violation of the Constitution. The Constitution was very clear that there is a minimum amount of Congress time. And that's because in the original Articles of Confederation, going way back in the Wayback Machine, they did not show up. Nobody showed up to Congress. So when they were setting out, when Madison was setting out the structure of Congress, which is the most representative of all the branches of government, they made sure to put a couple of highs and lows in there. And, one of the things was you guys got to come in. So it would be a violation of the Constitution to not come back into session. Hello, do cry. Anxieties, dude. Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, Shannon, I know it. I know. Hi, Willie B. I know. It's extremely stressful. And even as attorneys, we're like, what the H just happened here? Because that's not right. Because this is the administration of, go forward now and ask for forgiveness rather than pre-approval. And it seems like the Supreme Court is okay with that. But this Supreme Court, I think one of their biggest problems, or one of the biggest things to keep them from going completely cray-cray, is that they're micromanaging everything. They're micromanaging. So a big case like this, which is the one where I'm going to just go through the summary in the front here. This is 159 pages. This was a decision that came out from the Federal Circuit, which is kind of the mystery circuit, out of the Court of Appeals. And so you can go through here and you can see how long it is. And what is the Supreme Court doing? They're picking 2 sentences and they're ruling on it, and then they're sending it back down, right? So we're doing these like a couple of sentences at a time and not even being clear about it. And that is great. That's what we want. It's annoying because we don't know what they're talking about, but it definitely is running the clock out. So, and that's what we do want here. No one's stopping them. Hello, Debbie. It certainly feels that way. It certainly does feel that way. But I tell you, if you pull the curtain back, there's a whole world back there that a lot of people aren't aware of attorneys working on this situation. Professors, judges, attorneys, all kinds of people making alliances with each other in order to prep to have basically a standoff. So a lot of people are working on it, but much like the military, legal field's not going to really be at liberty to talk about it until we get a little further down. But there's no one sleeping on this, is what I'm trying to say, and that's unusual because a lot of people sleep on stuff. But we're not sleeping back here. We're just behind the curtain. I know. Hurry up. Never have to make a decision. Well, yeah. I mean, right? Because when they make decisions, sometimes, not every time, but many times, they're screwing us over. So if we get to a point where they're only screwing us over on 1 or 2 sentences out of 160 pages, that's I'm okay with that. Yes. Oh, I know. It's frustrating. And again, because our legal system is not user-friendly either. Absolutely not user-friendly. And they do that on purpose to make it so that it's an elite profession, which is just, not great. All right. Well, let's dive in here a little bit, everyone. Good afternoon, Doughboy. So I am doing better. Have a little bit of a cough every now and then, but it's almost gone. So forgive me if that occurs. I know how annoying that is. Truly, I do. All right, here we go, everybody. This is the case that we're prepping for the U.S. Supreme Court. Arguments are on November 5th. All right, so this is the appellate case. The Supreme Court is a court of appeals, essentially. So they go in for any kind of a federal constitutional question that has to be answered. They cannot answer political questions. That's outside of their jurisdiction under the Constitution. But under Article 3, they serve as basically an appellate court. So we've got lower courts, and this is two cases combined. We have the lower courts saying, wow, these tariffs, they're out of line. This is the tariffs case. And then we have the Court of Appeals, which is right here, and we'll kind of go into that as well. And they're like, wow, this isn't okay either. So now we're up to the Supreme Court. All right, so this is our third chance. Well, sure, if you've got a question, feel free to go ahead and DM me. My DMs are open as of right now. I tell you what, though, that Tube of You crowd, whew, there's some vicious trolls over there. I know the tubers would be like, you should, TikTok's got all of the trolls. I'm like, no, they do not. So I can't spend too much time over there, although I am transitioning to that platform. All right, here we go. Excuse me. Here's our case. I'm going to just go through the summary here. The T-rump. And there we go. And we have another case here. And this is Oregon, which is how I've actually been referring to this case. Oregon v. the T-rump. Now, with our birthright citizenship case, everyone, which has not been decided, which is being micromanaged quite a bit, that is how I refer to it as the Washington case. So a huge Washington case and a huge Oregon case, in case you're wondering. So the Northwest working hard, and we appreciate it. All right, so again, I do need to be careful of my language. I do not know exactly what's going on over here, but I do need to be careful here. So our case number is a 25-1812. All right. Orange tea. Yeah. Orange tea. Here, we'll just highlight it. All right. We'll just highlight it. There we go. Now everybody knows what I'm talking about. Right. Okay, so as I go through this, I also need to do some annotating. So again, this is how I would take this case forward in the process. All right, so here we go. We had, again, these cases decided, or this particular Supreme Court of Appeals decided this case August 29th. I'm looking around the page too much. I need to focus. Here are the two case numbers. The first one's going to be the leading case. So if you put this first number in, that's how it's going to take you quicker to the dockets in the paperwork. This one will work too, but you might have to hunt around and do other things. So I think it's important to note when we've got two cases put together, we would call this the leading case on this. All right. So let's make sure we know who the parties are. Here we have VOS Selection, Plastic Services and Products, LLC, DBA Genova Pipe, Micro Kits, LLC, Fish USA, Inc., Terry Precision Cycling, LLC. Now, we also have another group that was actually the first group that filed, and it was a paper company. I've forgotten her name, like Lily something, but they've kind of all been put together. And then we have all of the people here that are being sued. So let's just pull this out so we have some idea. Because they're being individually named. So we've got the U.S. Customs and Border Protection here, Commissioner of United States Customs and Border Protection, Greeter. Let's see, Trade Representative here. So we've got Lutnick. In his official capacity as Secretary of Commerce here, and Border Patrol. So these are the people getting sued on this one. And then on the other side, we have the other case, right? So this is the Oregon case, and it looks like it's the same people here. So we were able to put them together. And at the very beginning of any decision, it's going to set out who the different people are, who the attorneys are that have taken the case. But on page, for those of you following along, page 4, we have our first full piece. So basically our case is starting right here. All right, I know it's kind of weird how it works out, but we do have an opinion for the court, joined by circuit judges. This one, Dink, Renna, Hughes, Stoll, Cunningham, and Stark. We have additional views here. Excuse me, so we call these the concurrings. And then we have a dissenting opinion filed here by these judges. So this is a pretty controversial situation. And the per curiam is the name of the decision, meaning it's from the court, but we don't actually know who wrote it. And sometimes that's really best for everybody. Yes, this is the Tariffs case. Here, let me get my sticky note out. Up here, let's see. And I always try to put 2 R's, but there's only 1 R. There we go, Tariffs case. All right, here we are. I'm just gonna go through the summary today because again, I am also needing to annotate this. So I will kind of walk you through my annotation as well. So first page here, we've got a Roman numeral. Roman numerals are always for me in yellow. Now I would go rainbow order, except I use my pink or the red part of the rainbow quite a bit in the body. So I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to do another piece. So for those of you wondering how I'm annotating. So this first piece, if I see any specific code sections, I will highlight them in blue, like the IEPA statute here. We also have executive orders over here. So any of the black letter law or procedures or policy is going to be in blue for me. All right, so here we go. The government appeals a decision of the Court of International Trade, which is a court that most people didn't know we even had, but we do have it. And they specialize in stuff like this. Setting aside 5 executive orders that impose tariffs on unlimited duration on nearly all goods from nearly every country in the world, holding that the tariffs were not authorized by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. All right, and then we've got the code section. Because we agree that IEPA's grant of presidential authority to regulate imports does not authorize the tariffs imposed by the executive orders, we affirm. So this is the most important holding, just right out the gate. All right, so when I have something that is this valuable, this important, I will do it in a very bright yellow, and then I will underline it in red. So this is more of a complex, I guess, annotating style for people here. All right, so that's important. They are affirming the lower court here. All right, this case involves the extent of a president's authority under IEPA to regulate importation in response to a national emergency declared by the president. For many years, Congress has carefully constructed tariff schedules which provide for, in great detail, the tariffs to be imposed on particular goods. Since taking office, President Trump, Mr. Orange, has declared several national emergencies. In response to these declared emergencies, the president has departed from the established tariff schedule and imposed varying tariffs of unlimited duration on the imports of nearly all goods from nearly every country with which the United States conducts trade. This appeal concerns 5 executive orders here imposing duties on foreign trading partners to address these emergencies. So here are the executive orders, everybody. We've got 14193. 14194, 14195, 14257, and 14266. So this is where we've got the executive order saying that there's some kind of a southern border emergency situation. All right, so all of the immigration emergencies is in here. Also, the energy emergency, I think, is separate from my EPA, and so is the timber. But everything else is really in this part of the trades. Hello, Spooky Scary. All right, see Pinky. Dude, I'm just saying you need to follow the law. If you want to impose a tariff, do it legally. You know, that's all I'm saying here. I'm not saying you can't do tariffs. But I'm not sure that's really what your post is about. I'm not sure that you're actually wanting to learn anything. All right, here they are again, herein collectively referred to as the challenged executive orders. We summarize the history of the challenged executive orders by first discussing the national emergencies in response to which they were issued, and then addressing the nature of the measures directed by the challenged executive orders. And then we've got a footnote here, number 2 at the bottom. The president has continued to impose various tariffs targeting imports from dozens of U.S. trading partners during the pendency of this appeal. Because this appeal pertains only to the challenged executive orders, we do not delve into the details of these later executive orders here. All right, it's our little footnote. All right, so this is the question. This is the question that we have to answer. The level of power allowed to the president for when we're looking at foreign affairs. The president has a lot of power, but are tariffs in an emergency declaration, the way they're being done here, appropriate? All right, so we got to figure out if IEPA even applies, if it applies appropriately here, and whether or not there's enough power for the president to use IEPA this way. All right, those are the questions. Yeah, you're not alone, Lucky Lancelot. You are not alone. Oh, thanks. All right, here we go. So I said again, I'm annotating as we go through this. I'm just prepping it like I would any other case, if you want to see my method. So for this page, I'm going to go ahead, National Emergency Act, which is also a public law. So this is all the citations for this act that they're talking about here. We've got an amendment that was codified here. And then we've got a proclamation down here. All right. So again, in blue, I use black letter law, or the executive orders are also in blue. Here, just to make sure I don't get confused, we have another one in reference to that. And then here's another executive order to southern border, which also has a federal regulation number here. And we have no cases, so we're good. All right, on January 20th of 2025, the president declared the existence of a national emergency at the United States southern border with Mexico under sections 201 and 301 of the National Emergencies Act, so NEA, public law set here from 1976, codified under 50 U.S. Code section 1601. And so forth. The proclamation number 10886 declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States here. So the one thing again, and we kind of learn as we go along, right? So the executive orders are one manner, and then you can also have a presidential proclamation. Now, that's the other piece. So here what they're saying is not only do we have executive orders, but we also have presidential proclamation involved. All right, these are not the same things, although the president's doing both of them. So just a heads up in that. All right, so the IEPA here, codified here Proclamation number 10886, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. And then again, we've got our federal register number here. In the proclamation, right, so we're not talking about the executive order, we're talking about the proclamation. He identified the presence of cartels, criminal gangs, known terrorists, human traffickers, smugglers, unvetted military-age males from foreign adversaries. So this is a pretty specific line. That's specific to some piece of law that they need. And elicits DRUGSs that harm Americans at and around the southern border as threats to the country's territorial sovereignty. So we have a threat to our sovereignty, everyone, right? Because if we don't have all of the state powers given to the president, then our sovereignty is going to be questioned, right? That doesn't make sense. No, it does not. Oh, really? New York appellate court slapped down the $500 million fine today? Actually, I think it was a few weeks ago that they did that. You may want to check your dates. They may have appealed the smackdown of the 500, but if you're in the legal community, you know full well that that level of a fine would never pass scrutiny. All right? So there you go. Shortly thereafter, right? So wait, I've moved too far. So military-age males from foreign adversaries. And here, illicit DRUGs. Shortly thereafter, the president faulted Mexico for affording safe havens for the cartels to engage in the manufacturing and transportation of illicit DRUGSs to the United States. Everybody remember that when he said, Mexico, why are you doing this, right? Blamed it all on Mexico. Like what? The president also expanded the scope of the national emergency declared in Proclamation 10886 to include threats originating from Canada and the People's Republic of China. All right, so we've got 3 countries now, oh, for goodness sake, that were added. Canada here, China here, and then of course we have Mexico, right? Mexico. Hello, Mark. Hello. Here we go. We've expanded it. On February 1st of 2025, he declared that the sustained influx of illicit OPIOIDSs and other DRUGSs has profound consequences on our nation, and stated that Canada has played a central role in these challenges, including by failing to devote sufficient attention and resources. So he's saying Canada's not done enough for the DRUGS problem in the United States. All right, that's what he's saying here. Yikes. All right, next up again, real quick, I like to pull that black letter law out so I know exactly what laws we need to pull here. So just one moment. Here is our executive order as well. And then I do this so we don't get lost, but also because then, again, I know which law I need to pull. Got to register here and down here. All right. So let's see, to devote sufficient attention and resources to effectively stem the tide of illicit DRUGSs. Again, so he's saying Canada isn't doing enough about the United States DRUGS problem. It's interesting. Imposing duties to address the flow of illicit DRUGSs across the northern border, which was February 1st. Is that executive order. He similarly stated that this emergency had been exacerbated by China's failure to arrest, seize, detain, or otherwise intercept chemical precursor suppliers, money launderers, other transnational criminal organizations, criminals at large, and DRUGSs. Again, we've got an executive order 14195. So it's also China's fault, everyone. So let's make sure we know. So Canada isn't helping or doing anything for the US's DRUGS problem, and China is also not doing anything for the USA DRUGS problem. So these two countries apparently are supposed to be taking care of our DRUGS. He can't do his job, that's exactly what he's saying. How long can Johnson keep Congress out? I don't know. That's a good question. In the Constitution, though, it does set parameters on how long Congress can go without being in session. So, I mean, that's the extreme end of the other one. Blaming everyone else won't solve our problems. Yeah, you're exactly right. You are exactly right. Oh, Minecraft. Yeah, we love that. I don't know. I lost, after the pandas came, I know that was a long time ago, but after the pandas came, I felt like things got too complicated. All right, here we go. In response to the declared national emergency of the trafficking of the OPs into the country and the ostensible failure of Mexico, Canada, and China. All right, so Mexico, we got to make sure we include them. So these are the three countries responsible for the DRUGS problem, not the people selling or buying them that are American citizens. No, but these three countries. Interesting take. And China to meaningfully address this threat. The president imposed what his opinion refers to as trafficking tariffs, 25% ad valorem duties on all articles that are products of China. So let's pause again. I'm sorry, products of Canada. Let's pause again. So his tariff, and we'll go through the executive orders a different day, but his executive orders on tariffs are because each of these countries aren't cleaning up the U.S. DRUGS issue, right? So I wonder how that conversation's going to go. I'm going to tariff you because you haven't solved our DRUGS problem, our American DRUGS problem. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. 25% here. All articles that are products of Canada. Executive Order 14193, 25% ad valorem duties on all articles that are products of Mexico. Executive Order 14194, and 10% ad valorem duties on all articles that are products of China. Executive Order 14195, right? So there's a lot of problems here, and it's not just like, well, this is stupid. I mean, there's other things that are problematic, right? Like the Commerce Clause, which puts the power of commerce in the hands of Congress. Now, if he wants to dink around with international relationships and foreign affairs, sure. But if you're dinking around with commerce, which is in Congress's power, now we're kind of in a different area here. And declaring an emergency just so he can do this, that's another interesting question. Right, exactly. Like nobody else makes any substances here. Right. I mean, remember when we used to be able to get Sudafed without showing our ID, right? I mean, there's problems all over the place. But anyways, so there we go. Let's, excuse me, let's catch these footnotes here. Canadian energy and energy resources were subjected to a lower ad valorem rate of 10%. Enforcement of the tariffs on Canadian products was subsequently delayed from the planned start date of February 4th to March 4th. Executive Order 14197, a progress on the situation at our northern border. Number 4, enforcement of the tariffs on Mexican products was subsequently delayed from the planned start date of February 4th to March 4th, Executive Order 14198. So, and then progress at the southern and northern borders. So these are our taco moments, taco, and so right, there we go. In each of these, executive orders, the president stated that the circumstances constituted an unusual and extraordinary threat, which had its source in substantial part outside the United States to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. So before I get too far, of course, I need to come in and annotate. So this is federal regulation. Here we've got IEPA here, and federal regulation there as well, and here. So executive order here. Also, I've got this U.S. Supreme Court. I'm not sure actually if it's a federal. Is it federal or? Anyway, I do have some precedent explaining how immigration is not an invasion. So we actually do have that on the books. Which books I forgot, but I need to pull that up. So I'm gonna make a little note to myself here. Aloha, hello, welcome in. Yay, JC, thank you so much. Oh, the Paco Taco. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Contributed. Oh yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, I know, right? All right, so I need to pull my immigration does not equal invasion case. And actually, I may have already done a post on it, so I'll pull that case and get that out for everybody. Paco Taco, you have the best name, all right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry people are using it. All right, here we go. The president stated that the circumstances constituted an unusual, extraordinary threat. Again, he's using this language completely that he's pulled from IEPA, right? So these are the magic words that trigger the unlocking of IEPA powers, right? So the statute's powers for the president are enormous. And the only way to unlock it is to have an emergency. So he's using the language in here to try to say, we've got an emergency going on. Now, national security, that's in the purview of the president. Foreign policy, also in the purview and economy of the United States. So if he's trying to say, again, part of my job as a president is national security and foreign policy. Now, one of the things that I found very helpful that no one else may, but when looking at this whole situation that's going on, right? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Mr. Orange, he's awful. And, I'm not saying you're wrong. But also what I'm looking at is what happens when he's gone. Now, some people are like, well, he's never going to be gone. That I just don't believe. But the other question then is the next president comes in, and let's just say it flips to the other party, to the Democrats. And the person then that's in the leader's chair now has all of these powers that have been unlocked by Mr. Orange. So rather than saying, this is him dinking around with a bunch of crap, it's also, is this really how we want the president's office to be? Do we really want the president to have this much power, no matter who they are? And that's the most important thing. Oh, thanks, Paco Taco. That's the most important thing, right? We got a lot of damage happening right now. We've got a lot of damage that will need to be cleaned up. But ultimately, we have to also remember in the next presidential election, if these powers are given, then the next one coming in could be, again, just as bad or even worse. So we got to kind of keep that in mind as we go through. That's the part that's worrisome, because if the Supreme Court dinks around and affords this kind of level of power over the economy to the executive branch, then, the U.S. will never be out of an emergency. If you can just say, well, I don't like what's going on, I'm declaring an emergency at the southern border, every single president in the future could do that and then come in and dink around with commerce, right? So that's something that needs to be sorted out by the Supreme Court. And if they sort it out in a weird place, in a weird way, Congress is going to have to come back and clarify that statute. So, in imposing these tariffs, he claimed to be acting under the authority of Section 1702, Sub A, Sub 1, Sub B of IEEPA, and specifically found that action under other authority under authority to impose tariffs was inadequate to address this unusual and extraordinary threat. That's another thing too, everyone, that I would ask. As we go through again, I'm just reading the summary in the front. We'll be digging into this case probably every day this week, getting ready. But that's another question here. Are we in an unusual and extraordinary threat? Again, terms that unlock a superpower, right? So I would ask that too. Do we have something unusual and extraordinary that is out of the realm of anything we've had before when we're talking about immigration and issues with the border, right? Are issues with the border unusual and extraordinary threats? A threat to him. Oh dear, the threat is him. Oh, you're not wrong. That's the issue, right? So that's going to be one of the big arguments in front of SCOTUS, right? Is this really unusual? And unusual. He's done some of the prep work, in my opinion, by blaming the prior administration. He's done some prep work to try to use this. He's said that Biden's policies let so many people in so that he'd be able to use this. So he could say, well, it is unusual because of Biden's situation. So he might try to do that. But if you're trying to say overall, in general, immigration, north and southern borders, we're not going to find something too unusual. He may try to use that setup of Biden as an example, but lest we forget, we also had a pandemic going on. So we got to be careful about that. Well, yeah, SCOTUS. Oh my goodness gracious. Right. Yikes. I got to put that in a box and move that box away from me right now because it's like, it's too much. All right, here we go. Each of the executive orders providing for the trafficking tariffs directed the Secretary of Homeland Security to alter the harmonized tariff schedule of the United States. So we've got a tariff schedule. And again, if the tariff schedule is set out by an executive office, and I don't know what a harmonized tariff schedule is. But if it's set out by an executive office, then that executive office has the power to change it, right? Now, I don't know if Congress sets it out in order for Homeland Security to follow, or if Homeland Security sets it themselves. If they set it themselves, there is power and jurisdiction for them to change it. That's just, that's how the law works here, and I just don't know. Right, it was determined that 2030 there would be more people of color. Is that a problem? I think there's already a lot. Right. Right, no, I hear what you're saying now. Sometimes I need to think about it for a moment, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Back into it here, everyone. So harmonized tariff schedule. They feel like it is. Yep, exactly. That's like one of their top priorities. I'm always a little bit thrown for a loop, everyone, when something is so awful or prejudicial or discriminatory. I'm just thinking to myself, like, that can't be right. But then take a minute, think about it, and it's like, yeah, that's right. Yikes. The president subsequently modified the trafficking tariffs. First, after determining that China had not taken adequate steps to alleviate the illicit DRUG crisis through cooperative enforcement actions. So he wants China to cooperate on enforcement for U.S. DRUGSs. Oh my gosh. And that the crisis described in Executive Order 14.19.5. So why do we have a crisis? Because he said it was a crisis. Now, when we go through these executive orders, is there support for it? No. He literally says we are in a crisis. And because he says that, that's how everything becomes unlocked. So when we go through, you're going to say, all right, well, let's talk about what the crisis is. Literally one sentence. I think we're in a crisis, so I'm declaring a crisis, right? Is the crisis in the room with us? Oh my goodness. Saying that they want white. Oh, absolutely. That's true. That's absolutely true. Just want. Yes, absolutely. I got you. So again, with these executive orders, and we'll go through those, but there was no support. I remember first pulling these executive orders and going through some of the language, and I'll pull these 5 later, and seeing like, okay, all right, let's take the middle of the road where we're open. Let's be open, not take it down just because Mr. Orange wanted it. Let's just look at it. And looking at, I would have to say, all of the executive orders I've reviewed, which is not all of them, there's over 200, but all of them have huge weak spots where it's like, that's not legal, that's not supported by evidence. What you're saying is just straight up, propaganda. In all of them that I have read, of which I have read many. So, yikes with that. All right, so the crisis described in executive order, not really described, had not abated. He increased ad valorem duties on Chinese products from 10% to 20%. This executive order, 14228, further amendment to duties addressing the DRUGS supply chain in the People's Republic of China. So now then the question is, if it's in the People's Republic of China, why do we have any kind of jurisdiction? Right? That's another question we can ask. So he's saying, China, you're not doing anything about, DRUGSs with Americans, specifically with our country. And you're not doing anything in your own country to help our country. So that's kind of crap too, isn't it? It's like, China, you need to go and do what we want you to do in your own country. Now, I can't say whether that's gonna go over well, and maybe that's why he's like on the rainbow tour over to Asia. But we read that. See, this is what we have seen. Further amendment to duties addressing the opioid supply chain in the People's Republic of China. Again, saying China isn't doing enough. The president further implemented duty-free de minimis treatment for otherwise covered articles from Canada and Mexico. And then here's that executive order. Amendment to duties to address the flow of DRUGSs across the northern border. I don't know. When I read through this, it just makes me, go to the most obvious thing, which is they're freaking lazy. And it's so crazy. They want to have absolute and total control, right? They want to absolutely have that, but they want it to just not be too much work. Like, all right, that doesn't make sense. Here we go. Under Section 321A2C of the Tariff Act of 1930, duty-free de minimis treatment allows goods valued at $800 or less to enter the country without customs duties. All right, so when we're talking about de minimis, we're talking about under or less than in value than $800. All right. Fast food dictatorship, yes. Well, yeah, exactly. And you can see why, though, the rest of the world's like, you know what? We know your people in your country are, bonkers, but we're going to do what we want in our own country. All right, here we go. I'm just highlighting a black letter law here. This is, again, my first time really going through this case and annotating it. I usually will read through a case a few times and then come in and annotate. Now, this whole thing is federally registered under this piece. So I can highlight that whole thing. These reciprocal tariffs were to be implemented. Uh-huh. Okay, here we go. More code here. And so let's dive back in. About inflation in the past 95 years. Oh, I got no idea about that. I have absolutely no idea about inflation. Nope. Get a salad, fast food. I'd like one salad, no cheese, no egg, no dressing, no croutons. Because I said so. Exactly, Gen X. That's exactly right. All right, here we go. On April 2nd, 2025, the president imposed what this opinion refers to as the reciprocal tariffs, baseline 10% ad valorem duties on imports from nearly every country with which the United States has any significant trade relationship, with additional ad valorem duties ranging from 11% to as high as 50%, to be imposed shortly thereafter on a per-country basis. So this, everyone, is kind of the... Oh, I think I'm pushing my light down, everyone. I apologize. This is what I would refer to as the penguins. The penguins. The penguins tariffs. You better pay up, penguins. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. We have to laugh about things, right? The penguins. It's a lot. It's just a lot. All right. Like the trafficking tariffs, these reciprocal tariffs were to be implemented by modifying the HTSUS. In imposing the reciprocal tariffs, the president again invoked his claimed authority under IEEPA. The NEA Section 604 of the Trade Act of 1974, codified as amended as 19 U.S. Code Section 2483 and 3 U.S. Code Section 301. All right, and we will go through those here in a little bit. Hello, Joe. Hello. Just Jay. Hello. Yikes. Flower boy. Hello. All right, so we've got a couple of footnotes here. The president also originally implemented such duty-free de minimis treatment for otherwise eligible articles from China. Here's our executive order here. Amendment to duties addressing the synthetic supply chain in China, the People's Republic of China here. Right, so again, we've got some laws set out, but he later rescinded this de minimis treatment for China products. Executive Order 14256. So this is such a mess, everyone, because it goes back and forth so much. So we want to kind of make a note of that back and forth. We've got that first executive order where it's like, bam, forget it. We're going to have huge numbers and you're going to suffer. And then the second one's like, well, maybe you could suffer a little bit less than what we thought. And then the third one's like, well, I suppose it could still be a little bit less. And then the fourth one's like, all right, well, let's go back to where we were. It's ridiculous. I can't, Boxer Mom. I can't say it. Oh my gosh, last night on Amanda's live, everybody, we had this incredibly talented person, and I've already forgotten his name. Apologies, but he's a voice actor. And I tell you what, I thought Mr. Orange was in the room. I thought he was sitting next to us. And I feel like the other panel people did too, because they're like, Mr. President, what happened with your MRI? Can you tell? And I'm like, dude, he's a voice actor. He doesn't know what's going on. Oh my gosh. But every question he took. Jaden, thank you so much. Emily, I appreciate that so much. So Jaden, oh my gosh, hilarious, extremely talented. But anyway, it just seemed like he was in the room with us. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Jaden, yes, he was really funny. He's very talented. are always amazing. Wow. There's something else. Oh my gosh, everybody. I have to get rid of my own triggers because sometimes one sentence can trigger the Hulk to come out. I need to go back to anger management class. All right. So number 7, real quick, is excuse me, the government does not contend that any of the statutes besides IEPA grant the president the substantive authority to impose these tariffs. The NEA governs procedures for declaring and ending national emergencies, which Congress can do, by the way. Congress can eliminate all of these emergencies. Section 604 of the Trade Act 1974 requires the president to update the HTSUS to reflect important duties, but does not provide the substantive authority to impose such duties. And 3 U.S. Code Section 301 simply allows the president to delegate powers within the executive branch. So already the Court of Appeals here is saying, I think you've misread the law. You have misread the law. So we have he up here explained that the reciprocal tariffs, an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and economy of the United States posed by underlying conditions, including a lack of reciprocity in our bilateral trade relationships, disparate tariff rates and non-tariff barriers, and U.S. trading partners' economic policies that suppress domestic wages and consumption. So, that's a long and short way of him trying to say, I've got the authority because, stuff's going down. It's not good. Again, I'm not... This court also is saying you're not reading the law correctly. And here we go. Just one more down here. Just make sure we got a law before we move the page. Oh, national treasure. I can see that. Yes. We need national treasures right now. Jaden is for sure one. All right. Back in it here. Reciprocity. Now, reciprocity is set out in a lot of different things, and that just means like friendly foreign relations. All right. So we take students from their country, they take students from our country. That would be an example of what we're talking about with reciprocity. On April 9th of 2025, the president suspended the imposition of the additional country-specific ad valorem duties for all countries except China until July 9th. So again, everything got paused again, except for China. I kind of feel like he isn't, like he really doesn't like the China. I feel like it. Exactly. Like we're going to do everything, but we're going to blame you for it. All right, here we go. So 14266, modifying reciprocal tariff rates. Excuse me. To reflect trading partner retaliation and alignment. Now, if you are looking, by the way, for these executive orders, I highly recommend you go to the actual Federal Registry, right? Go here and find it, because he's got some executive orders listed out in the White House, on the White House website, that have not been put into the Federal Registry yet. And for me, the way I look at it is those are not ones that I want to argue in court. So these are kind of like in waiting if they've not been published yet. But there's only a couple of days wait between when the EO is, dispersed or shown to the public and then put into the register. So you just have to be careful about that. Project and deflect. Absolutely. All right, so the president repeatedly amended the China-specific reciprocal tariff rate in response to China's adjustments of its own tariff rates on U.S. goods. He first increased the China-specific rate from 34 to 84%, effective April 8th. Executive Order 14259, amendment to reciprocal tariffs here, as applied to the low-value imports from the People's Republic of China. And then we have our Federal Register number. And then from 84 to 125%, effective April 10th. Here's the executive order. These new rates were to be affected by modifying the HT-SUS to reflect the higher rates. Here's our executive order again. Following discussions with Chinese officials. Oh no, I've got the puzzle, everybody. Oh no, the puzzle piece. Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Did we do? Oh, we did it. Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Phew. All right. Where was I? Executive order here. Following discussions with Chinese officials, allegedly, the president lowered the China-specific reciprocal tariff rate to 10%, effective until August 12th, 2025, observing that these decisions were a significant step by China towards remedying non-reciprocal trade arrangements and addressing the concerns of the United States relating to economic and national security matters. So let's pause here for a minute again, everybody. We have to remember why these tariffs were put in place to begin with, right? So we've got tariffs on Mexico, tariffs on Canada, and China. I know they're on a lot of other countries too, but these three are because he feels that they're not doing enough to stop the sale of DRUGSs in the US or stop them from coming into the US. That's why we have a national emergency under IEEPA, because these three countries aren't doing enough for the US's DRUGS's problem. All right. So here we are when China's like, well, we're trying to figure out here non-reciprocal trade arrangements addressing concerns of the United States relating to economic and additional security matters. We are talking about them not doing enough for Mr. Orange regarding our DRUGS problem. See how that doesn't make much sense? It just doesn't make much sense. It's hard to tie those together. On July 7th, the president paused enforcement of all reciprocal tariffs again until August 1st. Like, why? Here's the executive order, extending the modification of the reciprocal tariff rates again. So you're just jerking them around. On July 31st, the president again paused enforcement of the reciprocal tariffs for 7 days. Another executive order, further modifying the reciprocal tariff rates here. So the reciprocal tariffs, other than China, took effect on August 7th. Like, what the heck is going on, man? I mean, and China's like, what are you doing? Here's what I picture, everybody. What's going on in China? All right. Let me tell you, and we will pause here because I don't want to completely lose my voice today. But when I think of China, and again, it's government, certain people, so I can't just say the entire country, but I feel like they are kind of, sitting or standing near some kind of television or computer screen with all this BS coming at them, and they're just like, we're going to need more popcorn. Well, that's how I feel about China right now. China may need more popcorn. And then the question is, do they get their popcorn from the United States? Because is popcorn going to be from Argentina now? We just don't know. But that's how I see it. Oh my gosh, that's how I see it. Oh, unique gifts. Thank you. Go Live Vegas, the biggest gift to China that could ever happen. Right. I'm like, gosh, can we help them? Like, I mean, I don't want to get in the middle of a trade war, but, I live in a state that's got a lot of corn. Oh, I need the popcorn. Right. All right. So on that funny note, we'll go ahead and pause us. But keep in mind again, excuse me, keep in mind again, I will be going through this case, probably doing a little bit actually every single day and doing some posts. Because this case is in front of SCOTUS November 5th. So we need to keep our eyes on the prize here. So that's the first piece, and then the summary of it up to point B. So we finished point A. Now we will be starting point B at a later point. be at a point that is not right now. Whew. So, well, thank you, Go Live Vegas. Oh, that's so sweet of you. I appreciate all of you so much. So with that, my friends, I will try to be on the Tube of You tonight, but I'm just not sure right now. I'm having some problems getting my Tube of You lives uploaded properly, and I'm also getting inundated with trolls over there. So I'm just like have to look at the comments with just one eye closed. And I know it looks weird because I'm like, I can't look at it with both eyes because it's too mean. But I will try my hardest to come back on later tonight, either on the tube or over here. I will be resting my voice up. So fingers crossed, everyone. And I will be continuing on again with the Voss case. Excuse me. Oh, no, the mods are doing great. There's a difference. Yes, there is. Yes, and I think if I'd started on the tube instead of over here on the talk, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But because some people who started over on the tube are like, wow, the talk is awful and they're so terrible. And, meanwhile, for me, I'm like, yikes, when I'm over there. But I am absolutely missing my time over there, so we will be over there as soon as we can. All right, everybody, I'm going to go rest my throat, my vocal cords. Thank you all for coming by. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the gifts. You all are so generous. So I will see you all later, and we'll continue to go through this case.